by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. We got plenty of things to talk about today. Going to have a little bit of a fun time looking at buy or sell, some of the stuff dealing with Razorback football, basketball. We'll do a little football talk, looking at the SEC, so there's plenty of things to get to that. And, of course, your chats. Super chats especially. Those are always appreciated. And your phone calls, 478-344-6623 is the number to call in. But, fellas, how we feeling on a Tuesday? Louisiana Tech game week, Little Rock game week, had a basketball game last night. I mean, if you're a Razorback fan, how are you not just pumped and excited about everything right now?
Man, John, I hate to do this 2 minutes into the show, but I got to tell you, I've noticed an error in the title of the show. It should be, why are Razorback fans not going to basketball games? Because that's the real question here. If they don't show up for the Louisiana Tech game on Saturday, we know why. We already know the answer to that question. Now let's talk about the hoops factor of this.
Well, and they are going. I mean, they've been crushing the football attendance, which maybe that's maybe why it makes it a little bit more perplexing that the basketball attendance has been so low. But it's our favorite topic to talk about. As Curtis said right before we went off when it started the show, we don't get to talk about sports anymore. It's just the nature of our business where we're at right now. No, we do not get to talk ball, but we are going to have a great day regardless. It's Tuesday.
Yep. And I should have maybe clarified on the basketball side of things, but hey, it just makes total sense, because I think that's what happens in sports. Is usually the sports that the fans want coaches fired usually show up a lot better than the new coaches that everyone's excited about, like they are in basketball. It's usually how it works. But as you can tell, though, from the title, and if you've been on social media at all, or if you've been living under a rock, you probably did not realize that people are pretty opinionated on a particular thing that has not just been a one-time deal, but has been an ongoing deal with Razorback basketball attendance at Bud Walton Arena. Now, last night, I know Curtis was at the game, I was at the game, and it's a Monday night, 7 o'clock against Pacific. It is what it is. But I know, Curtis, you can probably back me up on this. That was one of the worst crowds I have seen in Bud Walton Arena that was not dealing with a snowstorm, ice storm, maybe since the Pelfrey days. It was that level of bad, and it is embarrassing if you're a Razorback fan, because everyone sees it. You got Bobby Regan on Barstool Sports putting up articles about it. You got Kentucky fans trolling. You got all the other fans in the SEC trolling you for all your games. Forget the game itself, which I know we'll get into just a little bit, but this is what people are upset about, is the lack of attendance. And guys, it's getting to the point where now it's no longer just an anomaly, one-game thing. This is a problem, as we call it. This is a problem for Razorback basketball fans not showing up to these games.
Yeah, man. Got to figure it out. Who knew that mid would be the operative word at the basketball palace of mid-America? It's wild, man. And listen, I am not here to browbeat anybody. Like, I'm sure that every reason being thrown out there right now is true to the person who lists them. It's too expensive, can't do weeknights, weather's bad, opponent sucks, corporate, guzzling of all the tickets, poor marketing, the team sucks, so why would I pay my money to watch? Like, I hear you on all of that. And I'm not going to argue with anyone who has their own personal reasons for not being able to attend. But what I will say is, one, we cannot be trying to call ourselves the standard while simultaneously comparing ourselves to other programs when the stands are empty. We got to stop doing that. I don't give a shit how many people are at Mizzou Arena tonight. Arkansas fans allegedly are built different. And it's just a point blank fact, I think, right now, to your point, John, that there's a significant difference in the total attendance, the student participation, just the overall atmosphere in general right now compared to Eric Musselman's tenure, outside of when the wheels fell off at the very end of last season. I mean, it's several thousand bodies per night. And it's getting worse. Like, it's gotten worse since the opener, in my opinion. And it's not about, it's really, I understand it's like a trigger thing for people. It's not about like pointing fingers and getting offended and playing the blame game. It's about identifying what the disconnect is and getting it fixed, because folks should not be getting pissed off at John Calipari for asking more than half of tickets sold to be tickets scanned at the games. And also can be true at the same time here, John Calipari shouldn't have to be doing this and begging people publicly after 4 games to show the hell up.
Yeah, Curtis, you said the word disconnect there, and I think that's the big one here. Because again, there's a ton of reasons why people wouldn't go to the game. Pacific being one of them, Monday night being one of them. All those are completely valid. But for the University of Arkansas, there has to be some type of incentive to make fans want to come. And honestly, preseason, I would have just thought that Cal would be enough. I thought that there would be enough like shine and allure around Cal and this all these 5 stars and the talent they had. I thought that would kind of carry them for a while, despite the non-conference home schedule not being that great. But honestly, I think you make a good point, Curtis. That, like, you don't get to claim to be the best environment in college basketball and the best fan base in college basketball if people aren't going to games. So I understand. Like I get both sides of the coin here. But yeah, I don't think the U of A really cares whether or not people come to these games. At least that's what, because a lot of these tickets are scanned or sold already, I should say. Definitely not scanned. And so for the U of A, I kind of also get why they're like, who cares if you come on a Monday night to Pacific? Because we already sold all the tickets. We sold the entire arena. But I agree. I think there's a reason why Cal is saying what he's saying, because the players probably, that's a big reason why you come to Arkansas, is playing in Bud Walton Arena, playing in front of these environments. And I understand that you're just simply not going to have the same environment for Alabama in February that you are Pacific in mid-November. I get all that. But it is kind of crazy to me that it's going the other way, because it's not like this is a brand new topic. Because, Curtis, I remember you and I used to talk about this a lot during the Muss tenure where, they'd play Fordham or whatever in November. And I'm like, man, dude, there's just nobody here. Like, it kind of sucks that, like, this Bud Walton Arena is supposed to be awesome and there's not a ton of people here, but it does seem like it's going the other way. It's
Absolutely
not one of those things. It's kind of crazy to me. And it kind of makes me think, like, are the fans like pushing back? Like, are people going out of their way to not go to games, which is what you'd think they'd be doing for football? I don't know, man. Ultimately, like, I know that when conference play rolls around, Bud Walton Arena is going to be rocking. People are going to be there. It is just kind of strange to see such little attendance to the point where people nationally are talking about it.
Yeah, the lower bowl was less than half full last night.
Yep. And I will speak as someone from experience due to the fact that I went to the University of Arkansas for so long. I remember well those Pelfrey years. I was in the student section for those, and the main reason being is because you didn't have to show up early to get the front row of the student section. You could show up about 10 minutes before the game, and you got it right up front. It was that type of thing. That's the type of attendance it reminded me of last night. And it's a culmination of a lot of things. So I'm not saying, at least just pointing to one entity or one group of people that's at fault here. I think it's very much a group effort. I believe that it's accumulation of a few things. One, Eric Musselman, say what you want about the man. The man is a genius marketer, and he did it all himself. He knew what he wanted, how he wanted, and how he wanted to do it. And I think the U of A just got used to that, of somebody doing it too. I think bringing in Cal, similar to what you said, Andrew, I think the U of A probably thought the same thing. Oh, it's Calipari. We don't have to do anything. People are just going to show up because John Calipari is the head coach. I think it's that. I think it's the season ticket issue where you sold out nothing but season tickets, and then you leave it in their hands to resell them or to give them away. They don't. I think it's a matter of not having good marketing towards the people there at the games, making the experience easy. I think not marketing games, which that should not be an excuse, but like we talked about, Curtis, when we were down there in Dallas, no one knew about that Arkansas-Baylor game, and there was zero excuse for it. Zero excuse for nobody to know about that game. So I think it's just all of this accumulating is becoming a deal. And this isn't even people calling out Arkansas because they hate John Calipari or they hate Arkansas. No, this is people within the state of Arkansas that's calling you out, fans, and calling you out, the U of A. Because y'all have failed at this. This is pathetic. It is a pathetic excuse of an attendance, and there's zero excuse for it. And you can sit there and point the fingers and play the blame game. It's like, I don't care. I don't want the labor pains. Give me the baby. I want it fixed, however you need to do it. And it's just a failure of epic proportions where, guys, I've loved Bud Walton Arena. It's my favorite venue of all sports here at Arkansas. But I'm starting to feel like seeing Auburn fans in that little jungle that they have, seeing Coleman Coliseum with Bama, seeing whatever all across the SEC. They don't care about opponents. They don't care about anything. They're showing up. And then you, with John Calipari as your coach, made the biggest headlines and the biggest splash in all of college basketball history. You can't even get 8,000 people into the stands. Make it make sense, because it doesn't. It's sad. It's pathetic. And I am at a loss because I never dreamed in a million years here we would be, 4 games into the season of the John Calipari era of Arkansas, and we're talking about lack of attendance at Bud Walton Arena. Never would have dreamed it.
It's wild, man. I don't think anybody anticipated this, and maybe they overhyped the John Calipari factor of this in terms of the butts that it would put in the seats, but it's also like the atmosphere amongst those who are there, which has just really, really been lacking. And people can miss me with they're playing with their food against Lipscomb and Troy out there. Let's not act like Eric Musselman's teams were particularly entertaining in the early portions of schedules, right? I mean, they won games, but a lot of times it was ugly. They'd shoot 24% in a half, and you're wondering what the hell was going on. And they'd eventually turn it on and get it going late and win games. That's why he coined the phrase spurtability, because they would suck for 30 minutes. They'd wind up beating these mid-majors because they had one run where they'd pull away. But the crowd was a major factor there. Hell, even during the COVID year, when you could only get like 4,400 people in there, it was rowdy because of the excitement and the engagement within the building. And that's not there either. And that's what I hate using this phrase, Andrew. I'm sorry. I can't quite put my finger on why that's the case here, because there has been a lot of entertaining stuff that's gone on. But yeah, I mean, there's been some clunky basketball here and there. But at the same time, you got to do like a dude Thero who's, throwing down dunks. I mean, this team is high flying. You got NBA talent out there. But even those who are showing up, it just doesn't seem, it's not intimidating, the environment right now. And yeah, we all agree it's going to get better once SEC play comes around. But if there's such a noticeable drop off now, comparatively speaking to previous years at this same time, how do we know that there's not going to be a comparative drop off moving forward? Like, are people really going to be that excited about Georgia coming to town for a midweek? Yeah. I don't know.
It does seem like there's just always going to be like a different reason or a different excuse you can point to. And look, it's not lost on us that a lot of this has to do with like a lot of those season tickets that don't show up are not normal everyday fans. These are employees of the JB Hunt section that they bought out, that those guys aren't showing up at games. Like, I get all that, but when the attendance is as low as it's been, it's like it's really everyone. It's a group effort. But I was just looking around John, you mentioned how we look at Auburn and we see they're jumping. You look at Bama and they have their arena jumping. Today I scroll by Ole Miss's Twitter account, and Chris Beard is doing a video where he's like, "Hey, Thursday night we're doing semi-pro night. We're handing out headbands. We're handing out T-shirts, free corn dogs." And I get it. You don't want to have every game turn into a gimmick game, but again, it comes back to incentive. Why would fans go to games, especially when the opponent sucks? Which, by the way, I don't buy the opponent sucks thing because, growing up, I went to a ton of games growing up, and I can remember some of the teams that Arkansas played. But it's like my first ever Arkansas baseball game was Oral Roberts on a midweek, and I was just so excited to go see Arkansas play because I was living out of state. It was a big deal. Like, I don't know why the opponent really matters that much. And to your point, Curtis, like, again, in conference play, is it going to matter when it's LSU or when it's Georgia or whoever? Like, are you going to use that excuse then? Because again, like, I think you could make the argument it would be easier to go. It's like now's when you should go see this team because it might be harder to go see them later. But I do think the university just needs to do a better job of getting fans to want to go to games. Like, I saw some student on Twitter complaining that he didn't know there was a game until 20 minutes before the game when they sent out something about the bus route changing or whatever. And so it's like students, which by the way, the student section used to be the thing you could always count on. Even during the like pits of the Musselman era when the crowds did suck against non-conference opponents, the students would be there an hour and a half early. It seems like the students don't really, there's not really a, you said disconnect. If you like, I keep thinking about that word disconnect. There's just a disconnect between the team, the students, the athletic department, the fans, and season ticket holders. Like, it just doesn't seem like a well-oiled machine. And so I think Cal talking about it is a good sign that makes you think that they're going to start trying to do weird things to try and spice this up a little bit, which sometimes you just need a little spice up.
I hope so, man. And to your point about the student section, getting there early and just being packed out for 5 years, every game that I walk to in Bud Walton Arena, I like to be there early to see who's warming up or whatever. So I get in there an hour and a half before when they let us, and I walk out of that tunnel, and we would never be able to get up to our seats on press row because of the flood of students. Like, you would just have to wait for 10 minutes until they all got down there and got to their spot, and then you could go up. It ain't a problem right now.
Well, and just for context of the Calipari comment that he made after the game, here's him. I guess it was in the radio post-game show with Coach Z and Chuck, just kind of giving a message to fans.
Thank you all for being in the rain and coming to this game. And I'm going to say this for everybody listening. If you have tickets and you're not going to use them, I guess you could go online and give them to the university.
Absolutely.
They'll give them away. Or even better yet, give them to your neighbor. Here, do you want to go to an Arkansas game? Think about the Kansas game, what that game was like, because 50% of the building were people who could never get in the building. And it was made their month being able to be in there and enjoy that. So don't sit on tickets. Either give them away or we'll give them away, because, this environment is so good. Now, I'm going to tell you, anybody that came here today in that weather, crazy, and I appreciate you.
I'm sorry. Curtis, me and you went to the game.
Yep.
We were there early.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't a single drop of rain at 5 o'clock, 5:30.
Yeah, it was out of there by 5:30.
That's not an excuse. Rain that happened, ended at 3?
I would say it rained
3:30. Yeah. No, it's not an excuse. None of this is an excuse. And also, it's a 7 p.m. game. It's not 8 p.m. It's not 6 p.m. That's the perfect time. It gives you enough time to get off work, to get down, whatever it is. But
hey,
it's sad that it's sad that Cal has to do that.
John
It's sad.
Calipari hitched a ride on an actual tornado to get to Sassy's last week.
It's true.
So
Yep. And you know what? I'd love to have seen what the attendance was like there at Sassy's. It might have been percentage-wise even higher. But that's the problem. Overwhelmingly is optics. The optics of this. Razorback fans, if you're sick and tired of hearing from Kentucky fans of Big Blue Nation, well, they got plenty of ammo that you're providing them. Like they're dunking on you for winning it. Okay, that's one thing. You're not even showing up to games. They're excited about a guy named Mark Pope. Then they won a tournament game that you're like, we got a better coach. Well, okay. Well, apparently you don't have a better program. Apparently you don't have a better fan base. You're getting dunked on. There was 8,000 people there. The student section was pathetic. That's just horrible. And, I'm not going to spend enough time on this because I'm not going to bore everybody with it, but I'll nerd out. They don't know anything to do in the student section. They stand there. They don't know about any of the cheers that's been constantly part of the U of A and constantly part of the student section in the drop. None of them know it. They just sit there and they're on their phones, and sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, here's we're doing this. There's nothing to it. And it's just the drop off so fast, so quickly. Mm-hmm. It is just what's baffling. It's not like this has been years coming. You're talking about 2 years ago. I would say Arkansas, Bud Walton Arena, student section, everything was one of the best in college basketball. And in 2 years, it's gone. It's just insane, and I don't know why. I have no explanation as to why it happened this quickly.
They got to start from scratch on the game day atmosphere in terms of the music, in terms of the people that hop on the mic and talk about it. Like it's very corny, for lack of a better term. They need to start from scratch. The swag surf, we got to cut that out too. I think they need to get they need to hire someone that just is in charge of leading the cheers and leading the atmosphere and all the ins and outs and stuff that they do. Because I think there's a lot of fans. I mean, every single fan I talk to has either something bad to say about the unnamed DJ, the unnamed hype man, or the unnamed, the people. Nobody likes whatever they have going on at Bud Walton Arena right now.
Yeah, for sure. And TJ, I'm not calling you out, man. I'm just using this as an example, but he says it's simple. The game was on a Monday night against Pacific. I'm going to address that one first because last week it was a Wednesday against Troy. And then, next week, 6 p.m. will be too early and Friday, 8 p.m. will be too late. There's just insert reason wherever. But the thing here about stop calling out the fan base, call out the people fan bill. We spent the last 20 minutes purposefully going through every avenue as to why there is a disconnect and talking about not pointing the finger and playing the blame game and trying to figure out what exactly is going on here and how it can get better. So respectfully, miss us with that. Yeah.
Yeah. People were tweeting at me about Northwest Arkansas could bring it. Do you think Northwest Arkansas are the only people that have season tickets? You think the people in Northwest Arkansas, 19,200 people, are the only ones that have season tickets? People have season tickets all across the state. So it's an ongoing problem. Now, if you talk about how far it is or whatever, fine. Yesterday, I had no problem giving away all the tickets that were given to me to give away. Zero problem with it.
Yeah.
So if you can't go, do that. I've said it many times. I will give tickets to anybody that'll go. But it's embarrassing it's not fun. It's awkward going into that building and sitting there and be like, am I watching a team that's ranked 18th in the country? Like, am I watching John Calipari with a team of 3-4 NBA caliber players as the Razorback head coach? Am I watching this? Because it doesn't feel like it. And it's just something to where you cannot continue to claim that you are one of the best places, best basketball program, or basketball school, and then whatever, when your 5-5 football team and percentage-wise is out at giving more attendance than this. Cannot do it. You cannot claim a basketball school. You cannot claim that you love the Hogs, that you love Cal. You can't wait. You're so excited. Can't claim any of that when you're walking in there and it feels like, I'm not trying to hate on it, but it feels like a low-level WNBA game because of the amount of the lack of attendance, the type of shenanigans and crazy things like, hey, it's time for the fry toss. And then it's just, hey, what? Okay, what? Who cares?
I can't watch another tic-tac-toe game. I just cannot watch another tic-tac-toe game. But also, do y'all listen? Because for everyone that's like, oh, why are y'all attacking the fans? We've attacked literally everyone. It's not even just, we're not saying it's just this section of the fan base or it's
group
just
effort.
We understand there's a lot of stuff to it, and like everyone is to blame. That's what we're saying. Is like when the attendance is as low as it is, it's not one specific like, oh, it's just this section of fans. It's literally everyone. It's a failure from the athletic department down, and it just kind of sucks because it used to be like really like basketball games used to have a little bit of an aura about it.
Yeah, I want to pull this up real quick from Joshua. Over on X, he says, I wonder if fans are still struggling to feel connected to the players. The Calipari effect is awesome and real, but I wonder if that makes fans feel like the players aren't bought in on Arkansas, but just there for Cal, which makes sense, but doesn't get a fan pumped to go watch the individuals. I think probably reading too much into that for the most part there, but I want to touch on your first sentence of I wonder if fans are struggling to feel connected to the players. One thing that I have noticed that's been very obvious is the access to the players is non-existent.
Yep.
It's non-existent. It's a nothing burger. We do not get players. We didn't get the practice availability that we have in the past, early in the season where you'd have media day and you can go around and interview all those guys and have it out there for people to see. In past years, we would get every single player on the roster at some point for a media availability leading up to the season, whether it was a Zoom or whatever. So you can kind of get to know them a little bit. We do not get players before games for previews. Sometimes we get an assistant coach. For this last game, we didn't get anybody. And then now, even after a win, they're just sending one player up to the podium for the post game. Mm-hmm. So I do wonder if there's something to be said about that. I don't know about like the not being bought into Arkansas, just there for Cal. I understand what you're getting at, but I do think like the access to the players and just not really feeling any type of connection there. If we're talking about, disconnects and like the university's role in this, I do think they could do a much, much better job of getting the players' voices and faces out there for people to relate to.
That's fair, but also it's like that's part of why you go to the games is to kind of get to know some of these guys. And also, like, do we think there's anybody who was like sitting at home and had their tickets and was like, I would go to this Monday night game, but I just don't know enough about Boogie Fland. I don't know him as a human, but I do think in big picture, though, I do think there's a, again, disconnect between the team and the fan base where like, I think those factors are absolutely real. And honestly, like they did a statewide tour in Hot Springs and Pine Bluff and people didn't show up to that either, so it's like, I don't know. I just feel like there is a little bit of a weird, and I think it really comes back to a marketing issue because I don't think anybody knew those events were happening. I don't think people knew there was even a game happening last night until it happened. I just think there's like a weird, like almost like the team doesn't try and seek that out, doesn't try to seek out fans and want it to be that experience where it's a more connected thing.
Yeah, and there wasn't I don't think people even knew exactly what those events in Pine Bluff and Hot Springs were. To your point, it was like, is it a red-white game or are they just washing feet? Like, are we going to see them play basketball? Right. I really don't think anybody knew what was going on. Hell, we went and I still don't know what was going on. So I get it from that standpoint, but I do think there's a difference in, like watching these guys play basketball, but then also the connections that is, become developed by hearing them talk and interviewing them and learning about their personality and who's got the swag and the flair. Like that's how you define fan favorites early in the season and the people that the fan base connects with. You get those viral clips that go around, something, funny or wise or whatever that they said in a interview, whether it's, like Kamani Johnson, we would have never known until he was pulling the OG and nut dropping and everything else. Otherwise we would just seen him out there. We probably would have thought he was a jerk the way he played on the basketball floor. You know what I mean? But he became endearing to fans.
Made off the court
to him. Yeah.
Well, and I think that because I'm glad you guys brought it up. Because I do believe is that the main reason why nobody's showing up. But I do believe there is that, because I know I'm not the ball knower. I don't follow basketball as closely as a lot of people do. But it's like I don't know anything about most of these players other than just where they came from originally or where they transferred in from. I mean, it's kind of all. I don't know what DJ Wagner sounds like. I have no clue. And so it's just, I think there is something to be said about that. And I'm sorry, and I'll call it out. Hawks Plus ain't it. Just sitting there and be like, oh, well, they're going to do an interview on Hawks Plus, and I said, nope. That's not how that works. That's not going to get anyone to know them. Because one, not as many people are going to see it. Two, it's going to be filtered and put through the processing and approved officially by the University of Arkansas Athletic Department. That's not how you get to know people. So, yeah, there has been a pretty lame and pretty weak attempts to at least try to have some sort of connection on that front. And this is just me speaking. I'm not speaking for every fan, but I still feel this way. I feel like I can't even touch Calipari. I feel like I'm like, dude, I am so like, at least with Muss. I mean, heck, me and Curtis, I know me and you had a relationship with Muss. Yeah. Even Mike Anderson, it's like, okay, well, you felt like you knew him because he's from Arkansas or at least coached at Arkansas, had that connection there. But Cal, I'm like, if I see him out somehow, some way, I want to be like, do I need to call the cops? Like, do I even say anything to him? Am I going to end up in, on a hook somewhere by the mafia putting me up on there? Like, I don't know. So there is, again, the disconnect word that's there. But I want to go back to the root issue. Not saying that is something that keeps, it comes back to this. That is not what makes only 8,000 people show up to a game. It's like, well, if it was this, it's the whole enchilada that's making all of this be a problem. It's not one thing, it's many things. And that's why we're discussing it. If it was just one thing, folks would just be like, hey, show up to games. And then we'd move on. But it's not one thing. Yeah. It's a lot of things. And it's a lot of things that can be fixed, should be fixed, and should never have even happened in the first place. It's got to get better. It's got to get done.
We were sleeping on Eric Musselman and his those videos that he used to do and just kind of the way. And look, I know marketing is a big thing for Muss. And I remember in the moment, like not even really understanding the impact of some of it, but I wonder how much that helped in getting people to kind of show up and be excited about games. And I mean, like to Muss's credit, like there were times where non-conference games would be a little bit lesser, but it wasn't a consistent issue for him getting people to show up to games. And because he was so adamant about, hey, we're playing tonight. Here are my shoes I'm wearing at the game tonight. Here's what we're doing. And it was kind of everyone knew at least when a game was happening. I mean, how many people have we seen in the chat today that have been like, I didn't even know there was a game last night until the game happened. Like students, there was one guy in the comments that said he didn't know there was a game until 5 minutes before and he bought a ticket for $1. Where I think I really do think it is as simple sometimes as people don't really know until you tell them, and there's a whole something to be said about the marketing aspect of this for sure.
Yeah. And I want to touch on just a handful of things, but I'll do it quick because I know we got other stuff that we're going to talk about. I've seen a lot of people talking about the schedule better opponents, whatever. I get it. Every school in the country is going to have bye games. That's kind of the way it is. You have to do that. Do remember when Cal got the job and the fact that he said a million times, was no schedule. That's very, very late. So all things considered, he put together a really good schedule. If you want better home games, you're going to get Baylor next season, and you might get Gonzaga in there too. So hang tight. All right. Like the good games are coming.
Not to mention an ACC challenge that could end up being like North Carolina or something like that.
Exactly. So like that stuff is going to happen. So a little bit of patience there, but I get it to a degree here. But a couple things. Caleb says Cal needs to schedule more non-conference games on Saturdays next season. Weeknight games will always hurt attendance. You cannot schedule a non-conference basketball game on a football Saturday and expect to have better return on attendance. Like that's,
people would turn that around and be like, well, I mean, it's football Saturday. I can't watch Georgia. I can't watch Georgia, Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something to keep in mind. Yes. Weeknight games will always hurt attendance. The question is, why is it hurting it more now? And that's, I think, what we're trying to figure out. David says Muss handed out pizzas and pumped up the line to get into pregame. Cal isn't doing that. He literally did it for the Kansas game.
Yep.
Like, him and the team literally did exactly that with a shit ton of Domino's pizzas and went out there and handed them to all the tents. So
that was a problem. That was a problem. It was Domino's. If it would have been something, different, that was a problem. Domino's just ruined everybody for it.
And by the way, the Kansas game had crazy, awesome attendance, awesome atmosphere. So it's like, we know it's like there. And look, I understand that's why people are maybe fueling this whole thing of like, oh, if you just play someone cool, we'll show up. But I think also the people knew that Kansas game was happening. We talked about it for weeks leading up to it.
Yeah. And the only other one I wanted to touch on, because it was directed to me, was from Angel. He said, yeah, Curtis, do some interviews and I'll post some. I've got a group of 8,500 Razorback fans. He said he posts a lot of our content.
Thanks, man.
We would love to do that, but we do not have access to those guys. One, it will cost a pretty penny in NIL, or it would have to get approved by the U of A. And if we get an interview with somebody, then everybody else is going to have to get it. And they do the preferential treatment thing. We had Lawson Blake. I get it. He's a walk-on a couple weeks ago until we didn't. So,
Yep.
I watched Jalen Graham in Curtis's face when he tried to hand him $500.
It's crazy.
But see, so that's what we'll do. We'll set up a GoFundMe here on Inside Arkansas for an interview with one single player. Probably going to cost about $2 or $3 grand. So if you guys want to forget going to the games, donate to that. I'm sure that's about the only way we'll be able to talk to him and everything.
I would interview a player every day if I could.
Yeah, absolutely. And but again, it's just not in the cards right now. I know we got a lot of callers we'll get to. We got some chats we'll get to as well. There are a few things, though, that we'll bring into the chat. Stay with us on the phone lines, folks. We'll get to you. But this one, of course, appreciate you, Jordan, for hitting us up with a super chat. We appreciate it. But he says, what do you think about season ticket holders having a quota of scanned tickets per season to keep their priority for the next season? Not happening. And the main reason being is because, yes, you sold out 19,200 season tickets, but it's not like there's another 19,200 people right behind them that are begging for those seats. So you're just not going to do that. Not to mention the fact that they're about to renovate Bud Walton Arena and really change the seating up. So I understand it. The sentiment sounds good, but just realistically, that's not going to happen. They're not going to do that.
When I saw someone ask if Yurchek was going to do anything about it, I'm like, this has no impact on Yurchek because, again, those seats are sold. Like it's not an issue for him because it's like, like to your point, John, like those seats are going to be sold, and I don't think they're really too worried about whether or not they get used.
Right. Yeah. Harold says enough bitching from the media, please. What, Harold, you guys can do it incessantly and we can't. That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Yeah.
And also,
not only that, but we
do whatever y'all want to talk about. And
that's right.
There's a reason why this show is doing way better numbers than
football.
Most of our shows last week. And I mean, look, if y'all didn't want to talk about it, I promise you we wouldn't be talking about it. Yeah, if this show didn't pop off, we would not talk about it, but it is.
Yeah, it's we don't do in the show prep meeting. We just be like, all right, guys, let's get together here and let's really find something that no one wants to talk about so we can piss everyone off. Let's do that. That makes for great content. A few chats here, real quick. My Bad Adventure says, my opinion is it's stupid expensive for me to travel from Batesville to Fayetteville to get a hotel and a baby and buy 4 tickets to the Pacific game. And on this point, I've hated John Calipari since he was. You didn't finish the sentence, but anyways, point is. Yes, I get that the travel and all that, but that's not the key. That's not the point. The point is people who are having already the season tickets. It's not about buying the tickets.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about they're bought. They're there. So it's about finding people to use them. There's half a million people up here in Northwest Arkansas, surrounding areas. Fort Smith's only 45, 50 minutes away. So it's not like you got to travel across the Oregon Trail to get to Fayetteville. There are plenty of people that could use those tickets. And I know, again, I have never had one problem giving away tickets to people. Not one. So there are out there. They just got to do it. Shout out to Whitty. Says, my bedroom was louder and wilder than Bud last night. Buddy, I don't know really what to think about that. And I'm not going to ask for details, but thank you.
Wild.
Also, Whitty stuck into the chat. He has a pregnant wife. Is that real?
I couldn't tell you.
3 tickets for his pregnant wife.
He has said that. He said the other day that the pregnant wife liked the fries at the Leroy. So
good. They are good. They are pretty amazing.
Oh,
we'll be there Thursday.
John, I don't know if you're
gonna second mullet child.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna pull this one up or not. I hope you were, but I'm pulling it up now because I just saw it. From Harold. I'm loving Harold today. It says Muss went to the polos because assistant suits could look funky. Now we're back to funky suits, cheap, bad fit, mismatch. No big deal. Just win games.
No,
Do we not like the suits?
I honestly like the polos a lot. And kind of for this reason. I mean, look, every like adult man, I only own one suit, but it's like adult men that are like coaching college basketball. They own a few suits, but when there's 30 something games, it's tough to look sharp every single one unless you're Mike Anderson. And so, yeah, I'll never forget Trey Thompson in his humongous suit at like 6'10", 280.
Yeah, I just could not give two rips more or less like about what the coaches wear. You know, coaches' apparel is was only a problem when they're not winning. Then that's just so dumb. It's so dumb. But yeah, I love how his avatar is like, what is that, Space Ghost with a beard? I don't even want to know. Let's see. There was a few other ones in the chat. Oh, yeah, this one comes from Jack. He's a student. He says, as a student, the marketing has been god-awful for all sports this year. Usually it's just an email once a week saying there's a game this week.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I know some people were just saying, like, oh, if you got to, like, have someone tell you when the game is and you're just out of sorts. It's like, listen, students do have a lot going on. You know, they do go to school, and some of them have to work, and some of them do a lot of activities. And so, like, everyone's busy. It's not about being busy. It's just about making it easy. Because that's one small thing, guys, I'll bring up. Because, again, I could spend all day talking about this because I'm pissed. But, like, one of the things is, like, parking, for instance. Say I gave tickets to somebody yesterday. They're like, cool, so what would be the best place to park? And I'm like, I have no idea. Because the U of A doesn't tell you what to do. You have a parking pass? No? Oh, well, then get bent. It's like, no, there needs to be something. I guess you could go, like, I told him to go, like, hey, you can go park at Fable High School. I think $20 will get you to park there. And I don't know if that's what they did or not, but that's another thing, just a small thing. Hey, I got tickets. What do I do? Oh, you got to walk from Baum. Great. No one wants to do that. You got to make it a little bit easier there too. Also, shout out to Jordan. He didn't have a chat, but did give us a super chat. Those are my favorite. Yeah. We appreciate it regardless, though. David says John Neighbors for University of Arkansas fan engagement director. No, because the U of A, they have wanted to distance themselves from me. They don't give a rip about me anymore. I gave them 15 semesters worth of tuition. They got their money. So no, they don't.
John Neighbors, the new John Williams. Is that what we're saying?
Listen, I put it on Twitter. Y'all don't make me do cringy TikToks teaching y'all how to do the chants and stuff in the student section, because I will do it. Y'all are failed miserably up there. Luke says, do they not give the students the ability to come up with their own traditions, chants, etc., or is that the John Williams guy? Like, I mean, there's no coming up with your own necessarily. I mean, yeah, you can do that, but just the basic stuff. Yeah. You guys know I forgot what the song called. It's like, da-na-na, H, da-na-na, like that.
Yeah.
That's been around since I can remember. And nobody, we're going to beat the hell out of you and you and you and you and you. It's been around a long time. And everyone's like, oh, what is this? What is this song that I'm hearing around the band playing? None of it makes sense. And also, was there another one? Oh, no, there was just a few of those. We'll get into your chats. Again, keep them coming, because this is something that a lot of people are passionate about and a lot of opinions on it. But let's get to the phone lines. Got a few people patiently holding on here. We'll start off with a guy. I haven't heard from him in a while, but it's Wally from Bentonville. What's up, Wally?
Hey, guys. Just wanted to call and chime in. And people have said a lot of parts about what I want to talk about. But think about this. Cal probably didn't have to do a lot of marketing at Kentucky because Big Blue Nation was already established. So it might not be his strength. So if there's a void there, who steps in? The athletic department. The athletic department steps in to boost that and do that job for him. You know what we get out of the athletic department? One tweet for every sport from Hunter Yurachek that's a template that says, win as one Razorback. And that's it. So I think, honestly, you don't see a lot of Hunter these days. It almost feels like the back half of Muss's tenure last year where he kind of went quiet. And it wouldn't surprise me if Hunter's on cruise control out there shopping himself, because he damn sure isn't putting a lot of effort into marketing all the sports, as people have mentioned, except for holding out his sign at the corner by Walmart saying need money. That's it. That's his whole shtick, and he's not doing anything else. And so it's not just basketball. That's a main one, but you don't see it across many of these sports. where they're just pumping them all up, getting fans engaged. We've got a soccer team in the NCAAs that could easily make it to the Elite Eight or the Final Four. You don't see anything about that. And it's just, I think it's systemic from leadership, from the 80 down. We're seeing it in football. Tickets for the football game are $5. It's the last football game of the year. Sure, it's Louisiana Tech, but how often, 9 months out of the year, do we wait for football? Can't wait. Any football, just give me football. And it's about to be over. And it's going to be a mausoleum in there on Saturday. It's going to be half empty because of their attitude about Pittman and not seeming to care about winning. Why should I care? The university doesn't care about me. The university doesn't care about my opinion. The university doesn't care about putting good product out there or marketing the good product that they do have. So why should I care? NWA, like you said, has more population than ever than they had 20 years ago. It's probably doubled. And we were getting good crowds for midweek games 20 years ago, 5 years ago. And so part of it may be new team, new coach, but I would think that would spark more interest, not less. But one more thing really quick, the song you just sang, John, it's Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. It's been around for about 40 years, a stadium anthem. And yes, all kids should know that. But like I said, don't be surprised if Hunter is not here because he's on cruise control, and I think he's probably printing out his resume at FedEx Print right now. Thanks, guys.
All right, Wally. It's good to hear from you.
Get some good bangers in there. And at first, with some of them, I was like, this might be like kind of scripted, but that was pretty long for that. I think he just he's got a good way with words.
Yep. Wally's been around a long time. He was one of my first callers on my first radio show back in the day. But hey, I was going to bring up, guys, modern gun season opens up this weekend. You know, it's a big deal for people hunting. So you can't expect people.
That'll be added to the list.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, we're not talking about football. Football attendance has been great. We're not talking about it. I don't care really what the attendance looks like this weekend. I do not care.
A lot of people have been saying it's, like it's going to be a mausoleum or a ghost town or whatever. I don't believe that. Yeah. I really don't. I think it's going to be it won't be like, Texas levels of people there for that game, but I bet there's still a bunch of folks there.
If anybody has 5 tickets they want to give away, I've got my sister, her husband, and a few of my nieces and nephews pulling up. So hand them directly to me so I can look like the cool uncle that saved the day.
Andrew, you could have just asked me, and I got plenty of tickets. I got so many tickets to that dadgum game on Saturday. I will give you 5 tickets.
Hook me up then, John. Appreciate you.
I got you.
Well, all right, everyone in the chat, F off then. But seriously, though, the football attendance is almost why it is making the basketball attendance more confusing. Because it's like I see people every week that are like, oh, they'll fire Pittman when the stands are empty, but the stands are never empty. There's 75,000 people there every week. But basketball, it's just, I don't know. And maybe just once football season ends, more people will just be like, all right, now I ain't got nothing else to do. People can only attend 1 game a week. Maybe that's it.
Well, we got a lot more calls. We'll try to work through them, folks, because I know there's other things we will get to. But we want to have you voice all your opinions on everything. I don't know who this is because the name didn't show up, but it looks like it's someone who has the last name of starts with an M. McClellan? I don't know. Sorry if I just outed you, but what's up?
Last name of starts with an M.
Yeah, you're going to have to turn down your it's like I had to turn down your radio back in the day of callers. You're going to have to turn down your live stream, my man. All right, I'm just going to hang up. Thank you for calling in. We'll get to you next time. Let's go ahead and try Jackson, who's on the line. I want to talk about tickets. What's going on, Jackson?
What's up? I just wanted to talk about student tickets and about how students don't show up.
Yeah.
The ticket process, they make it impossible for students to even transfer tickets to each other. So, like, if you're a student and you don't have an access pass and you want to get a ticket, you can't get one because they make it impossible to transfer tickets.
So, Jackson, real quick, just out of curiosity, is it something that you just scan your school student ID when you walk in? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, they say that you have to bring student ID, but you don't because look at how many Texas fans were in the student section last week.
That's true.
Like, to get a ticket, you have to log into another person's account and get the ticket that way. You can't just transfer them.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Interesting.
So students who have tickets and can't go can give their U of A information to somebody, but, I mean, that's stupid. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, appreciate the phone call, Jackson. Thanks for letting us know that. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Is just the student section. It's pathetic. There's zero excuse for that one. Like, y'all are there on campus. You're living there. You just walk. I know y'all are living in Pomfret, that nasty old dorm. I know y'all are living over there. You don't want to spend time in Pomfret. You want to be in Bud Walton.
I wonder why it's like that, the transfer thing with the student.
Why? Because it just like everything else, they try to overcomplicate it so much. Yeah. It just, because I saw somebody in the chat saying like, hey, have dollar beer night. You know what? Why not? Why not? Just do something like this. I guarantee you, folks, if you said, hey, this Friday night against Little Rock, dollar beer night, you'd have 15, 16,000 people. Would it be just because of that? Maybe not.
It's not unprecedented.
But yeah, it would kill. It would kill.
They do it at Providence.
Yeah.
I have never attended a Northwest Arkansas Naturals game when there was not some type of promotion going on. I've never gone to just a standard raw dog Northwest Arkansas Nationals game. It's always Thirsty Thursday or $1 slider game or something like that, or Justin Verlander's pitching. But that stuff works.
Yeah, just do something like that.
I like Harold, man. Harold's making me laugh today.
Guys, I have breaking news.
What now?
Arkansas guard John L. Davis has been named to the Luke Olson Player of the Year watch list.
Was that Role Player of the Year?
This is listed as a preseason honor, but we are very much not in the preseason. He is one of 50 named to it, and this award is given annually by collegeinsider.com. Insider, I barely know her.
How much you want to bet that is something that got named before the season, and it's somebody there in the athletic department was just like, yeah, I guess I better put this out.
I know that we don't talk ball anymore on this show. But for those who are wondering, speaking of disconnects, like what's going on with John L. Davis early on in his Arkansas tenure, tune in to the Inside Arkansas YouTube page tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for an in-depth breakdown of all that.
Oh, there you go.
Folks, that's in the business what we call a tease.
Yep.
So, take advantage of the tease.
Maybe attendance will go up when John L. Davis has more of an on-ball role for the Razorbacks.
Any on-ball role would be more of an on-ball role. So sign me up for that.
Yeah, let's say good luck getting that. A few other chats because we will go back to the phone lines here. I know, but there was somebody. Let me start doing this. But Jack also says, student football tickets, you have until Friday at 5 to get them. But for basketball, an example, this Friday's game, students have until 5 today to request. Huh. See, that's, again, making things way too complicated.
So strange.
Way too complicated, man. Because even the guys, you remember the Kansas game, the student section sucked. That was the only group that did not show up. The whole upper deck there was empty. So, yeah, that needs to be fixed.
And I also don't understand how that was even the case with so many people camped out.
That's
what blew me away about it. There was like 170 tents or something, and like an entire campground full of students waiting to get in, and then there's wasn't that many once you got to the game. I don't know. It's strange, man.
Yeah, all of it's just very weird. I forgot. I didn't see the chat, but your wife Curtis says a dollar water night. Come, okay, no one's coming for that.
Hey,
Michelle,
relax down there.
Yeah, water fountains. You can just drink out of those.
I'm about to say that's for like high school games. Okay, no, that's great for them. But also, okay, Hickory Hog, brother, Modern Gun has been open for 2 weeks. Okay, sorry, didn't know. Obviously, I mean, I don't know that I look like an outdoorsman and someone who goes hunting all the time, but
I was gonna say I've seen a lot of photo ops with the dead deer. I didn't know if that was muzzleloader or bow or Modern Gun. I have no idea when those seasons coincide. I just know they're all things. So
yeah, I just know my buddy P. Steves lets me know every single time, and I'm just like, I don't
like deer
care.
Is like early November, right? So I feel like people should definitely be killing deer right about now.
But again, do not ask me because I have no idea.
Lives out of animals.
Okay, well, let's not start a holy war here, Andrew. Thank you. All right, we'll go back to the phone lines real quick. Actually, no, sorry. I want to do this with the Alumni Hall question of the day because it relates to what we've been talking about. It was a simple poll question I put up. Of course, Alumni Hall, it's your ultimate Razorback shopping experience. Check them out at alumnihall.com/Arkansas-Razorbacks. They got it all. Southern Tide, Columbia. They got Tommy Bahama, Nike, Peter Millar, Johnny O. Everything that you could possibly want for Razorbacks, outdoor, indoor, warm wear, cold wear. Check them out online at alumnihall.com as well as 3417 North College Avenue. Simply ask, what is the biggest reasons fans aren't going to basketball games? And I put a few choices there because I wanted to make it generic enough to where it maybe gives an idea of where people's heads are at. I said the choices that you had were fans just not being good fans, lack of competition, the U of A failing an incentive for games, or other. So this is where it kind of laid out. 42.5% of you say lack of competition is the reason why people aren't going to games. 28.5% of you say fans just not being good fans. And then 18% of you say the U of A failing an incentive. Which, hey, you voted, that's your opinion, but I cannot vehemently disagree more than you guys saying lack of competition is the reason why people aren't going to games. I just can't get down with that at all. Like, does anybody remember the Pelfrey days? Like,
well, it's just, it's deflecting is what
yes.
like when people feel like they're being attacked, they attack back. And it's like, it's really hard it's hard to avoid that when we're having these discussions, even though we're talking about the marketing failures and, the disconnects between university and fan base and all those different things. But at the end of the day, we're talking about fans not putting their asses in seats at these games, and people were taking that as a direct shot. I mean, I said right off the top, like, anybody who's putting an excuse or a reason out there, I believe that that's a thing for you. Like that's your reason for not going. And I'm not here to argue with you about it. But when people feel like they're being attacked, they attack back. And so there you go. Oh, why am I not going to the game? Well, why the hell aren't they playing somebody? Oh, why am I not attending? Why do they suck? That's just kind of the natural reaction, I think.
Well, and look, the issue is we're talking about fans who have tickets to the game that are not using the ticket. We're not saying, why aren't you scanning StubHub and buying a ticket on a Monday night? That's not what we're saying, which is why ultimately I feel like it's that third option. What was the terminology? It was like marketing.
UA not providing incentive.
I feel like UA not providing incentive is very much like, I would say that might be my number one reason, honestly.
No, the thing is we just don't know who the season ticket holders are. We don't know who's out there. We don't know why the reasons why they're voting the way they do. Just none of it makes sense. But it is. But to your point too, Curtis, about being attacked, yes, that's 100% true. That's why I always bring up the joke about there's a wreck at the Bobby Hopper Tunnel, because that was the ongoing joke back on the message boards during the day. It was like Houston Nuts game in 2007 or whatever against whoever, ULM. There was only 60,000 people there. And it was like, what the world? What's going on? They're like, there's a wreck at the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. I mean, come on. It's like, there's always a wreck at the Bobby Hopper Tunnel on game day, but still people find ways. They find ways. But yeah, those aren't excuses, and none of them are acceptable right now at all.
I'm just going to throw out there real quick, just if there's a basketball thing out there and it's, misleading or a lie, I have to call it out. Pooh Bear, he hates Brazil more than he hates Taylor Green. Nelly Davis has more rebounds than Brazil. Nelly Davis has played in one more game than Brazil. Rebounds per game, John L. Davis 5.0, Trevin Brazil 5.3. So you're wrong again.
Pooh Bear is either one of two things or both. He's either a troll or an idiot.
Definitely a troll. Well, I don't know if he's an idiot or not, but definitely a troll. Big time troll.
He was saying earlier, he was
I love engaging with it.
People showed up for Muss is because he had Arkansas kids on the team. It's like they had like 3 max every year. Like what? People love Caliph Battle from Jersey, but they can't get behind Boogie Flan from the Bronx.
Devo was selling out Bud.
Yeah, Devo and Darian Ford were putting asses in seats, bruv.
Hey, just to give you also a clarification, do you guys want to know how many players on that 1994 national championship team were from the state of Arkansas? Do you want to guess? 1, Corliss Williamson. Okay, don't give me Devor Remak. He's from Croatia. He just played at Fayetteville High School. Don't give me that. But there was 1. What made you go to the games? Winning. Had nothing to do with where they were from. Winning.
Speak for yourself. I went because the center was from Arkansas.
Yep. Yeah, that's why. If only they had that one kid out of Bauxite that was playing on Arkansas. They had their Jason Jennings from Bald Knob. Man, you'd be seeing 8,000 more people there at the games. Come on now.
I also just love like when people cite excuses and it'll be like I just imagine someone sitting in like dinner with their wife and they're like, so we're going to the game tonight, right? Well, I don't know. I mean, John L. Davis is I don't believe he's from Arkansas. I think he's from Gary, Indiana. I don't know. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's just we're not feeling. There's not enough Arkansas flavor there on the roster. So dumb. Okay, we'll get to a few more of your calls, folks. Trying to keep up with the chats, but we appreciate all your interactions because let's be honest, we're a lot of people fired up giving their opinions, but we do appreciate y'all's opinions, even if we disagree with them. It's not us calling you out and being like, okay, this, you're wrong and stupid, except for you, Pooh Bear. But it's more about just, hey, voicing your opinions. It's what we provide and talking about it. That's why so many of you are watching right now. That's why some of you are reacting to it, because something you're passionate about, and we appreciate it. So
what would this chat look like if we were talking about Louisiana Tech's 3-3-5 defense that Sam Pittman's so worried about?
The chat would not exist. There would be no chat.
Catching him at a bad time, though.
That's right.
Yeah,
that tweet went viral.
I felt like I was John Calipari just now. What would the chat look like? There would be no chat. There'd be no chat. That's another thing Cal needs to do. As much as he polls the media in his press conference room, he needs to start polling some people on Twitter. Why don't you ask the questions there on Twitter? Be like, why did anybody come to the games? Why aren't you coming to the games? Anybody? Answer? Need to start doing that. All right. Actually, before we do that, I want to play this clip since I just brought it up. Got to play the Calipari press conference highlight from Stu Hogg. Always good stuff.
45, 44, great. 45, 44. You don't even know. Does anybody listen to what I'm saying? Pass it sometimes just to pass. 6 happy guys. You're not making every shot. Chemistry. Like, what can I do? How do I, wait a minute. It doesn't take skill. This is the best way. You got to do it this way. Got guys sleeping here? What? My wife doesn't listen to me. If I call my dog, he runs the other way, so I'm fine. You don't have to listen to me. I don't care. You elbow me out. I don't care. Just shoot it straight. I'm a grinder. That's what I do. How about dive on the floor for a ball? Bob, you're good. Tight.
I don't know what was like. I love this stuff when you hear Bob's giggle. That was great because we know Bob's giggle. But that one, for those of you who were just listening and didn't, the silence was him doing hand motions for like 8 seconds. That was my favorite. It's like, dude, you're wild.
His thing with the shooting motion was hilarious. And he was talking about a conversation he had with DJ Wagner about not like extending his arms to catch a pass and like receiving it close to his body, gets you in a more fluid shot rhythm. But he has this way of just being hilarious when he's trying to explain basketball things. And I know the 6 happy guys thing could probably be clipped and become very memeable. So
yes, very much so. Very much so. All right, just a couple more calls here, folks, because again, we got to move on from this. But this person's been patiently holding, and I want to get to him. He wanted to talk a little football with us, so we're going to get to him. And this is Austin from Arkadelphia. Thank you for your patience, Austin. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? I am from Arkadelphia. Shout out Andrew, but I currently live in Mississippi, this godforsaken Lane Kiffin place over here. But right. I want to let you know I look forward to you guys every day. I wake up at 5 in the morning and just like 6 or 7 hours out, you guys are like an oasis. I'm walking through this quarter zip desert over here, just waiting for inside Arkansas to come up. It's good times. It reminds me of home. I love it. My question is this, most people were over Sam Pittman. It feels like 18 months ago, 2 years ago. I kind of have some sympathy, and really the chat's going to hate me for this, but I love Sam Pittman because he kind of convinced me to love Arkansas football again. I mean, we all went through those Chad Morris years where it was almost unwatchable. 2021 happens, and it's like, I can love again. What is this feeling? I don't even need therapy anymore. Like, thank God for Sam Pittman. But I have to admit, after this year, it does feel like it's kind of time to put the dog down a little bit. It's just, it hurts to watch. It's not fun. And even though we may end up being 8-5 with the bowl game, I just have lost it. I've lost passion for the team, and I feel like we're all kind of there. Here's my question. If we had lost different games and won different games, put it this way, if we had won the rivalry games and just still lost to Oklahoma State, maybe we lost to Mississippi State, Ole Miss, whatever, but we won Texas A&M, we won Texas, we won LSU, would we feel differently about Sam Pittman and this season, even going into bowl season? I have a feeling that I would. If he had a couple of trophies this year, I think that it would be enough to get me back on board. But I think where we are right now, like the reason we all feel so apathetic about this team is even the games that we've won, I don't care that much about those games. So anyway, curious to hear what you guys think about that. Thanks again for your service, and Woo Pig from Jackson, Mississippi.
All right. Appreciate you, Andrew, and good luck there in the quarter zip desert, as you referred to it as.
Fantastic.
That was awesome
stuff right there.
Worth the hold, hopefully. But to your point, though, as far as the Pittman angle and those games that he could have won, I think, yes, it would be different because, one, you would have, like, if you would have gone through before the year started, circled the scheduled games that you want to win the most as a Razorback fan, I think everybody would have circled Texas number one, or at least really up there. Probably LSU is up there. Probably Ole Miss being up there. Missouri may be up there. A&M may be up there. But, yeah, I think that there's an element to it to where the games you really, really want to win and the ones, forget the trophy aspect, but just the ones you really wanted to win, you haven't. And a lot of those games are at home and would have made a difference. So, yeah, I do agree that it probably would be a different feeling right now if they had won those games.
100%. And I think going back to his point of like how Sam Pittman got him to love Arkansas football again, that may sound crazy to some people. It's really not, because you got to think about, I mean, look, I know that we've talked about this a lot, and it's not something that buys you a lifetime contract, but when Sam Pittman took over Arkansas football, dude, it was an absolute cesspool. Like I was at that point, I was not covering Arkansas as professionally. I was still in college at this point, but like I was so sick of like 2019. It was really hard to watch those football games, and my love for Arkansas football had definitely like almost disappeared completely. And yeah, that 2020 season, even them going 3-7, like that was like I had a lot of fun that year, and I was like, oh wow, we can have fun here. And then obviously 2021 was great. And so like I think all that stuff is valid, and I hope that down the road we're able to, but that also doesn't necessarily, like, I don't know if that's a case for keeping him, and I don't think that's what he was trying to say there. I just think like it is kind of interesting, and I wish more people were able to do that, like kind of thank Sam Pittman for what he's done and respect kind of what he took over and what he was able to accomplish early, while also admitting that it's probably run its course. Like I think both of these things can be true, but I see so often people are like, "Oh, all Sam Pittman has done is ruin Arkansas, is lower the standard." I'm just like, that's not true. It's just not. These last couple of years have stunk, and really like mostly just last year. But I think there needs to be an ability to acknowledge the good while also wanting a change.
Yeah, I do too. But this is somewhere people, like fans, in all honesty, just feel powerless and just feel like they have to. They have ideas. They say what this would feel differently if this happened. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter because what's happened is what's happened, and you got 2 games left, and you got to get pumped for Louisiana Tech. That's a big one. It's coming up in Fayetteville. Final game of the season for the Razorbacks at home, at least. So, but yeah, good. Appreciate the phone calls, folks. There are some things that we also have to dive into as well. And part of that will be, of course, we'll play a little buy or sell, doing it with, of course, the Bet Saracen app. It's the #1 app of all sports betting when it comes to here in the state of Arkansas. And we'll have some fun ones to get into for basketball season as well. But just having a little fun and playing along, which you can in the chat, too, if you want to get into it. But buy or sell, that Bud Walton Arena will have at least 3 home games hit 20K attendance this year. 3.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, think about
Bama, Texas,
and
then just insert one.
Maybe Ole Miss, maybe one of those ones later.
SEC opener with Ole Miss at home, maybe.
I could see it.
I'd go with it unless they like lose to Michigan and lose to Miami and lose to some teams in the non-conference. Maybe they shouldn't. I could see that'd be a part of it, but yeah, because that was really the only. There's only 3.
Unless they have Lawson Blake leave the roster, because then they would have no Arkansas players.
That's true. And then where would you be then if that was the case? How about this? Arkansas, and this is basketball-wise. Myers saw that Arkansas will win a non-conference game by 30-plus points this year.
Bye. They'll do it Monday.
Okay. Calling the shot. All right. I like it.
I think I probably buy that as well. But, I mean, now, would you agree that if it doesn't happen Monday, it's probably not happening?
No. Only because like North Carolina A&T is still on the schedule, and like there's some opportunities for it to happen there.
Yeah, I thought they could do it last night. Then after it was clear pretty after a couple threes went down, it's like okay, maybe not. But I think I'll go ahead and buy it. They're gonna absolutely just dominate someone, like out athlete them 97-61 type of thing. At some point.
It was trending that direction last night. You're right. It was 27-11, and I was like, yeah, they're gonna take care of business. This is gonna be Cash Chavis's debut, and then Pacific hit back-to-back threes, and right away you just knew how it was gonna go, man. I mean, they look like the peak Golden State Warriors out there. It's crazy, bro.
What was it? They started 10 of 17 from 3, I believe.
Yeah, I mean they were 8 of 12 to start, and then it's just ridiculous.
So how crazy is that they were 10 of 17 to start, but they finished 12 of 35. So yeah, they cooled off a little bit, but that was what was crazy is because if we go with the stats from last night, Arkansas shot 60% from the field, 43% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. You're probably like, all right. Oh, and they scored 91 points. Hey, 30-point win. Well, no, because Pacific just decided to, like you say, look like the Golden State Warriors there for a bit. That should have been a 30-point game. And don't listen once again, folks, to the idiot national media people like, oh, is it upset alert? Like I got that alert from ESPN. There's national ESPN on my phone says Arkansas avoids upset against Pacific. It's like, did y'all watch the game? Like, apparently not. But it is what it is. This one actually got put to me by somebody who watches us here this morning. DM me this one and what y'all thought. Buy or sell Adu Thiero will be first team All SEC at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sell it too.
Okay.
I think, and look, Adu Thiero's like the man.
He'll be All SEC. I think maybe second team or honorable mention or something. I think he's going to continue to be really good. I don't think he's going to continue to be this good.
I'm buying it because I love the Hogs.
I mean, dude, yesterday Pacific was like anytime he just like dribbled, they just couldn't keep up with him. It was kind of crazy. And I think he's still going to have some games where he pops off offensively, but it's weird because it's not like Arkansas's running a bunch of offense through him necessarily. Like a lot of his buckets are just kind of
he creates them. He creates them by getting his own damn steal and going coast to coast. It's crazy, man. But I absolutely loved it last night when we knew he was going to have to play some center just because they didn't have anybody else behind Z. And the first time that he's the 5, they take advantage of the mismatch and he gets a wide open 3 and knocks it down. Like, he's big and strong enough to defend a mid-major post player, but you also know he's such a mismatch on the other end. And then, the first possession, man, he bangs home a 3 and it's like, yeah, this dude gets it.
All right, buy or sell. Little football side of things, too. Patrick Kudus is going to play this weekend against Louisiana Tech.
Dude, I don't know.
I hope it's a sell.
I'm going to say sell just because the logic tells me that has to be the case, but I don't know.
I am selling it as well. Like, that will be the worst thing ever if he does, right? Like, that'll be dumb. Be a very dumb thing.
Yeah, it would be dumb. It would be almost as dumb as Chad Morris ruining Jalen Catalon's red shirt with like 4 plays or something like that in Western Kentucky game. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be like agree. It would just be like a very weird thing. But then I guess he would just not play against Missouri. It would be weird.
Well, because if that happens, then I'm saying something went wrong. Something went wrong there. Let's see. How about this one's more of an SEC-based one, but buy or sell. A team who has never won the SEC title will win it this year, which more likely will be A&M, Texas, or Ole Miss. One of those teams.
Nah. Selling it.
Selling it. Okay.
Georgia?
You
got Georgia winning it?
Sure.
I'll probably, I don't know. I hate to do it, but I may have to buy this. I just feel like it's Ole Miss to me is the best team right now, which I know that they got to have some other things go for them. in this way, but I don't know. I probably have to buy
I'm
it.
trying to think, like, I think I'm going to buy it as well. I don't think it's going to be Texas though.
I hope it's not Texas. That'd be the worst case scenario.
Probably.
I think it might. I
I
think
don't
it
know.
might.
I mean, I could be talking like five.
The
different
most
teams.
likely scenario right now is Bama, Texas
Yeah.
in the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like, yeah, I think it is going to be kind of funny how Bama's going to win it. Like in this year of parity, all this crazy stuff going on. It's like, yeah, Bama wins the SEC title.
Also, buy or sell this one, just a random one, because again, some people just submit these, which I appreciate, but it's buy or sell that Arkansas will win 8 games when the season's over in football, not basketball.
Sell.
So, okay.
Yeah, I'll probably sell it. I don't know. Maybe they beat Missouri, but
Maybe they do. Yeah,
I'd say
just
probably
like I don't know. Is this team, after what we've seen all year, just suddenly going to win 3 in a row? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. But that's a thing where the bowl game might be the most ridiculous way of trying to predict that a team is going to win 8 games. Like that might be the worst way to do it, but still. All right. Also, folks, apparently people are saying that we're having problems with our stream on YouTube. It is not on our end. It's on YouTube's end. So we're not playing the blame game here. But
if it was our internet, it would be Andrew freezing or me freezing.
Yes.
Like we're all 3 in different places. So it must be a YouTube glitch.
I was like, I think my internet's okay today.
Yeah. No, it's not on. I just checked it, confirmed it. It's a YouTube issue. Looks like.
Okay. We sound good to each other, but not, I guess, on the YouTube stream. So there we go.
No, I think no. Well, I think it is. It's the U of A coming in and shutting us down, is what it is, because they were getting sick of us, not going along with because we're not holding water for the U of A. We're listen. Everything that we report's factual and has been for a long time. So just know about it. But yes,
Woody says Netflix is sponsoring today's stream.
that would be pretty funny if they did, because it'd be great for us because we'd have money. But
also true.
Yeah, appreciate that one too. All right, so we'll just keep moving on regardless of the stream. Come hang out with us, folks, because we can still see your chats. Let's get to your SEC update presented by Rhoback and Rhoback.com. Use HogsBuy20 for 20% off of all of your Rhoback purchases on your first purchase there. Great stuff for Christmas time coming up. Need some gifts? Got to get them some Razorback gear with Rhoback at Rhoback.com. Again, HogsBuy20 for 20% off your first purchase. Now, I wanted to bring this up, similar to what we were talking about with the SEC title. Lane Kiffin said this, and anytime Lane Kiffin says something, guys, it's always really interesting. But he says the conference championship could have a big impact on the playoffs, as we all know, with the conference championship and everything. He says, but I've talked to some other coaches, and the feeling is that they don't want to get in it. The reward to get a bye in the playoffs versus the risk of being knocked out completely is a really big risk that they don't want. So it makes me think, okay, there's some truth to that, where if you're somebody in the SEC that's flirting with it, do you want to not play in the SEC title game simply to avoid possibly not having a spot in the playoffs?
This year, if I'm Ole Miss or Georgia or Tennessee or Alabama, hell no, I don't want to be in that thing. No way. Because you've already got 2 losses. That's what's crazy about this year, is all these teams have 2 losses. If I'm Texas and I have, 1 loss going into it, and if I lose in the SEC championship and get to 2, I'm still in. So I'm fine with it. But yeah, all these other teams, like let's say like if it goes according to plan right now, Alabama gets in to the SEC championship game, Georgia doesn't, then Alabama loses to freaking Texas and they're out. And Georgia gets in just simply because they didn't have to play. Like I think I'm with them.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a perfect storm. You want to be that team because like obviously you have to win enough to where you're top 12 without having to go to the title game. But yeah, there's always, I feel like every year there's going to be an SEC team that gets kind of lucky, or it's going to kind of work out that way. And it seems like Georgia's going to be that team this year.
I think so.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it's going to almost turn into the baseball side of things, with the SEC baseball tournament.
Yes.
Where everyone's just like, I don't want to play it and I don't want to care about it. It does give you an incentive, because if you win, then you do get the bye week, or at least you get that advancement. But yeah, if you lose, you could be kicked out of the playoff, or possibly, maybe have an injury or whatever. But then if you don't play in it at all, you're going to be in no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you can't. There needs to be. I don't know how you would do that, but it almost needs to be some sort of like, hey, no matter what, if you're a certain record or certain rank in the playoff and you're in the SEC title game, you're going to get in no matter what. There needs to be something about that.
This reminds me of how, when they like instituted NIL and the transfer portal at the same time without considering any regulations or thinking about how it could be a complete cluster, and it just became the wild, wild west. And now it's like we're doing these major conference expansions and the 12-team playoff at the same time. And this is like all the things that people didn't really consider going into it are factoring in now. And you got like this 9-way SEC tiebreaker scenario to try to figure out who gets into the SEC championship game to potentially get screwed out of the college football playoff. Great. That's how it was intended to work.
Well, I remember back in the day, whenever the 9-game SEC schedule was becoming a thing, people were talking about that. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, cool. Now I'm like, dude, you can't do that. You should probably take away a game. Only play 5 or 6 conference games. Like, it is kind of crazy. And look, I know that people that are outside of the SEC hate it. Like, I see Danny Cannell crying on Twitter every day about how SEC teams are ranked or whatever. I don't know that the schools that have the best players typically have the best teams. The SEC sends double like the draft picks like every year of everyone else. It's like, so it sucks because it's like, if we want to do the thing where the playoff committee has their vague thing of like who like actually are the best teams, well, that's going to be the SEC teams, but you just, it's just kind of crazy how it's going to work out. And so I think they're going to have to just, I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't envy the people at the playoff committee because they're going to get screwed no matter what. In Indiana, I feel bad for Indiana because if they lose by like 13 this weekend to Ohio State, it's going to be like, oh, well, they're out.
First happened to Arkansas. That would be the time that it's like, hey, they get in the SEC title game. Oh, they win the SEC. Well, then they lose, and then they end up having to play in, the whatever bowl and miss out on a home. Because that's something I will say, guys, I'm looking forward to so much. A home playoff game in college football. Just seeing what that is like those atmospheres. Oh, because you get that in baseball with the regionals and supers and stuff, but the World Series is where it's at. And in basketball, you don't get any of that unless you're in the NIT, which who cares? So having a playoff game in football, the number one sport at home, oh, dude, I can't wait to see what that's like. I can't wait to see what the ticket prices are.
Nothing I would love more than seeing a first-round playoff game with Alabama traveling to Bloomington to face Coach Sig and the Hoosiers.
I would love that so much.
It would be crazy, bro.
But fans aren't going to show up if it's on a Monday night.
That's right.
True.
Especially if the players on the team aren't from the state.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. And if there's a wreck at the tunnel, I mean, they're never going to do it. But that's something that where you think about like Ole Miss. I hate to say it, but like Ole Miss, Oxford's probably going to have a playoff game.
Yeah.
Just crazy, and it's just jealousy is all it is. Just pure jealousy.
Imagine
all I got.
How many shots there are going to be to the chandeliers and.
Oh, man. And how many beers that the police are going to pour out because you're walking around with one. Yeah. Party on. It's going to be great. So, but yeah, I had another thing from the SEC dealing with it. I was going to look at the games in college basketball because that is a thing that still is going on, folks. I didn't bring it up, but, Alabama lost to Purdue. So that made me happy. That was
an awesome game.
It was really good. Kind of got lost in the translation of everything, but yeah, I'd love to see that.
It's a shame that they had it hanging out on the Peacock, Yeah,
I know. So no one could really see it. But yeah, last night Auburn did take care of business against Northern Alabama. Taylor Corn texted me. She's like, Auburn didn't play very well. I was like, you won 102-69. Like, what do you mean?
It took them a minute to turn on the Jets and get it figured out. They look good though.
I know. I hate it. Tonight though, common opponent Kentucky is playing Lipscomb. And so if you guys want to watch that game, that's happening.
Kentucky's going to beat the hell out of them.
Yeah. Yep. And then I can't wait to see, guys. Just get ready because there's going to be media in the Kentucky like, Team A stats against Lipscomb and Team B stats against Lipscomb this year.
Blind resume.
You decide which is better. It's going to happen. So just be ready.
Shout out to this comment from Mike who says, are we taking into consideration that Bud Walton holds 20,000? Does Kentucky hold that much? Simple answer. Yes, it does.
Holds more, actually.
There will be a lot of people there tonight, I would imagine.
Yep.
Even though it's a Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you can get in there for $15, according to the ticket sites. Other games of not of note because there's nobody cares about these teams in the SEC. But Florida's playing Florida A&M. When are we going to get the update on old Todd Golden? Like, it's just going to keep on going.
Title IX investigations don't happen in a hurry.
No kidding. Like, I don't want to get political and stuff, but that's why Title IX always in these particular cases make things very complicated. And who knows what that's my fear is it's going to be at the end of the year. He's going to have something. He's going to resign, and they're like, it's been put to rest, something like that. But yeah, you can go to that game for $2. Georgia and Alabama A&M also barn burner.
Okay.
You can go to that game for $2, and LSU and Charleston Southern. There's another game, also $2. Take your pick for those of you who are looking to go to some games there in the SEC.
LSU quietly off to a good start in basketball.
Mm-hmm. I keep wanting to call him Vince McMahon, and I know that's not his name.
I think you just should.
Are they the South Carolina this year? Many are asking.
I hope not.
They might. Honestly, they might be, but they're not like that. Like they'll be the team that was picked near the bottom that winds up being way better than people thought. But that South Carolina thing last year was nuts, bro.
Yeah.
What did they end up ranked in the SEC? Was it like 4th, 5th?
They had a bye.
Who?
Yeah. So I think so it's top 4. So you're talking about going from being picked 16th to top 4 had to be the greatest jump, while Arkansas also had the greatest downfall from what the preseason said about them.
Curtis, am I correct in thinking that Mwani Wilkinson is at Little Rock?
He is.
Ain't that something?
Coach Z's favorite player, Mwani Wilkinson, and
small world.
Yeah, Chandler Lawson's brother, Jonathan Lawson.
I saw KK's little brother signed with Little Rock.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty cool.
The Trojans are up, man.
Yep, they're gonna have a big test this weekend. Hey, speaking of Trojans, randomly, did y'all see Condom Sense leaving Dixon Street? Like,
really?
Nothing's sacred anymore. Yeah, Condom Sense is moving to like college, and they're rebranding. They're not going to be Condom Sense anymore. It's going to be like Shinesty or something.
So it's still going to be a thing. It's just not going to be right there on Dixon.
Not on Dixon Street.
So where are you going to get your rubbers on Dixon?
I guess the kids these days are just going to have to go to the local CVS, get a box of them. I don't know, but I think
nice lady behind the counter.
Yeah, get some stories there. There's a lot there. But no, that was just random because you said Trojans up and innuendos. That's what we do.
You guys remember the random dude working behind the counter at the Walgreens in Birmingham that was talking to us about Plan B, and
I do.
We were at media day.
I do.
Random aside, that's not going to mean anything to anyone in this chat, but that was just a moment I wanted to bring up. Strange.
Yeah. We did the thing just then that like we do to each other, where like you and John will talk about something that only y'all remember, or me and or whatever. We just did it where nobody knows what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I love that.
The inside jokes on this side, folks. So
there's nothing better than getting hundreds of people to listen to you talk about something that they have no context for.
It's good stuff. But no, I feel like that's always some people remember, though, if they have a waiter or waitress or somebody behind the counter that makes things really weird when it shouldn't be. One of my favorite places in Little Rock had a guy that would just come up and be like, hey, I started taking Viagra here recently, and I got to tell you, man, it's going to be kind of results. I'm like, I don't remember asking about any of this, but he's just like, yeah, I know, I feel comfortable. I feel like you guys are cool. It's like, there's nobody that's that cool that you need to bring those things up. So anyways. Also just random, I know it's tomorrow night, but I didn't realize Alabama and Illinois play each other. So another little common opponent you'll get a little piece of for Arkansas and Illinois, which, by the way, Curtis Wilkerson will be there up in Kansas City on Thanksgiving. He is giving up his family holiday for all of you, so you better appreciate him for it. He's doing it for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Just listen to what I say, I guess, afterwards. That'd be cool if you did that.
It'd be a nice gesture.
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be doing a live show from out there, but there'll be plenty of content.
Yeah, that's all that people need, because you're all your fat bellies are going to get stuffed, and then you're going to be turning on, and you're going to be like, oh, what's this Curtis guy have to say? And then you're going to be excited for basketball once again. What time is that game at on Thanksgiving, by the way?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
You know what's interesting about it? The Cowboys and Cowboys and Giants play at 3:30, and it's going to be a backup quarterback bowl.
Yeah.
You're going to have Ben DiNucci versus Cooper Rush. So it's like, whereas like, I'm sure there are some Arkansas fans who were probably like bummed out, but it's like, that worked out pretty well for Arkansas, because I think that game starts at 3:30 and Arkansas's at 3. So it's like, it's going to be Arkansas might have the attention of the nation.
Yeah, well, they'll have my attention. I'll be checking them out, and hopefully they win. But actually, that's a good time to say this, anyways. Obviously, next week is Thanksgiving, folks. So just to give you a little, we'll post this on social media, but give you all a rundown of what our schedule is going to look like here on Inside Arkansas Live. There will not be an Inside Arkansas Live on Thursday or Friday, okay? For the holiday, but also for all of you. But just know that, as Kurt says, there'll still be some content that will be put out for Arkansas, Illinois. And we're still going to do Pod of That Nature post-game show following the Missouri game on Saturday. Yes, it's on Saturday, because I was one of those people where I'm like, I thought it was Friday, because it's always been Friday. And it's Saturday at 2:30 is when that game's going to be. So we're still going to do post-game show for that. So just be on the lookout. Because if I get a tweet from somebody, what are you guys just mailing it in? You're not going to do the show? We're off Thursday, Friday. So just relax.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, do you think
on that Thursday?
Do you guys think that Big Z's brother will wear a headband in that game?
He doesn't have the stones. He doesn't have the audacity to do something like that. He better not.
I really hope that it's a game where Big Z has a big performance, because they're doing the MVP of the game gets a big ass turkey leg afterwards.
He's the guy.
Yeah, I can't think of a better person to get that than him.
If only he was from Turkey, that would be even better. Croatia does. Yeah, Croatia works too. But no, I'm kind of hoping him and his brother get a double tech. That would be good stuff. That'd be Sports Center worthy. Yeah. Got a double tech, a little too roughhousing out there to get involved. But yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, should be a great one though. Hopefully Arkansas is healthy enough to get in there and do it. Okay, so we're getting close to wrapping up here, folks. But a few little games. I wanted to play this video because I don't know if you guys think it's cool, but I think it's pretty cool. I love the Army-Navy football game. It's such a cool tradition. It needs to stay where it's at, where it has its own weekend of that. Did you guys see the uniform reveal for the Army and what they did? I'm going to play this video. It's just 3 minutes. It's a little long, but it's worth it. Trust me. It's worth it. But this is their uniform reveal for that game.
Today, a milestone in the modernization of the United States Army is taking place at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. It is the Reorganization Day ceremony of the new 101st Airborne Division, better known as the Screaming Eagles of World War II fame.
First activated during World War II, the 101st Airborne Division, better known as the Screaming Eagles, were routinely called into action when the need was immediate and extreme, becoming known as a relentless fighting force that never turned down a difficult mission. All of these battles during this time led the 101st to their greatest rendezvous with destiny the division had ever seen.
Then suddenly, from France, we're heading for Belgium. Under cover of fog and bad flying weather, the Wehrmacht launches a desperate counterattack. They're throwing 25 divisions at us. Our lines reel back. The Battle of the Bulge is on.
Germany launched a massive attack in the Ardennes forest. Heavy fog grounded air support for the United States. The goal was to seize and control the 7 roadways of Bastogne. With the extreme winter conditions, there were minimal supplies, and the 101st were outgunned, outnumbered, and surrounded on all sides. The German troops saw this as a time to ask for the 101st surrender, but this band of brothers had other plans.
On the 22nd, the German commander, ridiculously enough, demanded surrender of the surrounding town. I just replied nuts, for I knew that one word best expressed the feelings of the division.
That belief, combined with their disruption, preparation, and flexibility, proved to be the key difference, as they were able to fight off the enemy and claimed another big win for the Allied powers in World War II.
Through it all, no one doubted for an instant that we would hold the town under any sort of attack the Germans could put on. The 101st Airborne Division has met and defeated the Germans in Normandy and Holland and will continue to do so whenever called upon.
On the 80th anniversary of the Siege of Bastogne, we pay homage to the Screaming Eagles, who prevailed against all odds, holding their ground against a massive German offensive in the Ardennes forest. Go Army. Beat Navy.
This generation of Americans has a rendezvous with destiny.
I wanted to play that strictly because of how over the top, ridiculous, and also everyone does these little uniform reveals. Yeah, top that one where you're able to talk about the 101st that was able to storm Normandy, and do all that. It's pretty sweet.
Can't
pretty
wait
cool.
to see the next stupid thing Missouri does.
Dude, well, that's funny because I wanted to make fun of LSU because you guys see their uniform reveal alternates that they're doing.
No,
they didn't even do a video. It's just a picture of here it is hanging, and it's like yellow. It's bright yellow. Looks disgusting. I should have brought the picture up.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to know is how Navy responds.
Yeah,
man, you better do something. You better be on a ship.
Yeah.
Better
Also,
be some
I'm
Top Gun Maverick stuff out there is what you need to be doing.
I'm glad that Army Navy, both teams are good this year, right?
Yeah.
Especially Army. It's just going to be a good game with actual implications, borderline, not really, but borderline playoff implications. Because I feel like so many years growing up, one of them would just be horrible, and it was mostly Army that was horrible. I know Navy had a good stretch there where they were just dominating that game. So it's nice that the game is going to be a big deal this year.
What is it always? Army versus Paul Johnson's triple option Navy or whatever it was. It's just randomness that happened. But
I remember when Roger Staubach was at Navy.
I do not remember that. Few chats real quick though. I want to give a shout out to Chef Boyardee. With a super chat, appreciate you. Says showing some love, boys. Appreciate the hospitality towards me and the wife last week and last weekend. Yeah, you're welcome, man. It was great to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, bro.
Yeah, and he stopped by the tailgate for a little bit, so hopefully it didn't get too crazy for you. But yeah, we appreciate you and coming and hanging out, man. It was awesome.
Chef Boyardee actually came up in conversation when I was taking Hillary to her birthday dinner last night. For some reason, I don't remember how it came up, but I was explaining his name, and she was like, "Oh, it's a cool name."
Y'all were trying to go get the duck.
No, we did not go get the duck.
Oh, okay.
Also, Witty had to say this. Says Curtis is just too tall at 6'6" to remember seeing my pregnant wife on Thursday. Must have looked right over her. So, no, I listen. I'm not 6'6", and I didn't see her.
You can never, under any circumstances, accuse a woman of being pregnant.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You just can't do that. Even if it's obvious, you can't just be like, "Oh yeah," you can't do that. You just
you wait for them to tell you.
Let somebody else say that. Yep. 100% of the time.
I've had that happen to me once. Lesson learned.
Yeah, you can't do that. Man.
Yep.
I feel like everybody's at the tailgate except me and Andrew.
Y'all came that time.
Chef Boyardee was there. Bob was there.
Yeah, Bob.
Bob was at the tailgate. What?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably be there. I might bring my nephews there this weekend.
Not only
there's no tailgate this weekend. Only big games. Sorry.
Wow, Louisiana Tech doesn't get the tailgate treatment, eh?
Not for that money. For how much it cost. But yeah, Bob was there. I'm trying to think of anybody else other than normal usuals. I mean, Devin was there with his mustache complaining.
Stovall was there.
Yeah, Stovall was there.
Bob told me that, and then Bob gave me this secret recipe. I don't want to out his recipe, but I'm going to, of taking advantage of the buy one get one deal on the McCrispies, whatever, the chicken sandwiches.
Dude.
And you take the patties and they're already cooked and they're crispy, and then you go get a cheap can of pasta sauce and then some cheap pasta, and you make chicken parm with the patties.
That's psycho behavior, dude. Like legitimate psycho. But dude, Bob, I don't want to steal Bob's thunder. I feel like I put Bob on the McDonald's app. It was during fall camp.
He literally asked me last night. He's like, "Are you on the McDonald's app?" I was like, "What do you mean? Like, this is."
Because it was during fall camp. He paid full price for a breakfast sandwich. Like, Bob, dude, I was like, Bob, on the app they're $1, dude. Just go ahead and get you. And he was like, "Oh wow!" And then every day after that during fall camp, he bought a breakfast sandwich, and now it's his entire personality. I mean, what the hell?
I mean, sometimes it's like that. I got turned on to the Taco Bell app by Haley Huey, who used to work in Northwest Arkansas in media. And I was years ago. I was like, wow. And now every time I open it up, I'm like, I'm glad she showed me this.
I'm a big fast food guy, and I would not recommend anyone consuming as much fast food as I consume. But I will say, if there's any fast food that you consume with any degree of regularity, once a month, once a week, whatever, you got to have the app. The apps, especially like McDonald's and Taco Bell, save you so much money.
And before we get out of here, it's coming from AWOL. It says, UK fan here. Just wanted to give you props. The show is awesome. Take care of the Godfather for us. He's going to do great things for the U of A.
Thank you for that. And I have to say, for whatever, I don't know why this happened this past weekend and never before, but I had 3 separate Kentucky fans DM me on Twitter, nice things, saying, hey, listen to your show, rock with you guys. Good luck with Cal. We're rooting for him. Or like, this is the reason why people are psycho about it. Like, give me the long story about why it's a thing. But like, hey, we really appreciate you guys. I'm like, you know what? They're not all bad.
I hate you all and you suck. And I was like, go get bent, AWOL. Like, I don't care. Like, because Curtis was one of them. Nathaniel was his name. Nathaniel. Because I got to. Yep.
Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah.
He DM'd me as well. And we're going to compare the messages. And if he copied and pasted it, then I'm definitely saying.
Oh, that's the case. I'm outing that dude.
Yeah, you're getting outed.
If AWOL commented us on Hog Sports Live,
yeah,
I kid. We appreciate you, AWOL. And honestly, I've noticed an uptick in like nice Kentucky fans lately as well that are just
because they're winning.
I was going to say, once they realize their team is actually pretty decent, then they're less threatened. So
they're going to get a huge win over Lipscomb. They're about to blow the doors off those boys.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to be a big one, no doubt. Well, hey, appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at Inside Arkansas. Follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas, as well as check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on all things Razorbacks. Going to keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we will see you then.